Okay, so here's my forensic analysis on the Apollo 1 fire. This presentation examines the Apollo 1 fire, which was a tragic pre-flight accident that claimed the lives of the 3 astronauts in 1967. It explores the technical and human factors that led to this failure, the engineering investigation conducted to determine its causes, and the safety and policy changes implemented afterwards. The Apollo 1 tragedy occurred on January 27, 1967, during a pre-flight test at Cape Canaveral. The mission was intended to be NASA's first manned mission in the Apollo program. The spacecraft's design included 100% oxygen-rich environments at a high pressure of 16.7 psi for ground testing. During a routine test where the spacecraft was not fueled, a spark caused a catastrophic fire within the command module. The fire spread rapidly due to the pure oxygen atmosphere and the flammable materials inside. The crew, Virgil Grimsome, Edward White, and Roger Chaffee, were unable to escape due to the inward opening hatch and perished within seconds due to asphyxiation and burns. Because of this, NASA launched a thorough investigation led by the Apollo 204 Review Board. The spacecraft was carefully disassembled and components were examined for evidence of electrical shorts, material degradation, and pattern burns. Testing and simulation, engineers recreated conditions in laboratories to test how various materials burn in the oxygen-rich environments. Interviews with engineers, technicians, and witnesses were done to uncover potential procedural errors and operational pressures that happen because of like time shortages and stuff like that. Material analysis, the investigation focused on identifying which materials inside the cabin contributed mainly to the rapid fire spread. So there were 2 primary technical causes that caused the Apollo 1 fire. The first was some design oversights. The hatch design made it impossible to quickly open under high internal pressures. And then the second is material choice. The use of flammable materials such as Velcro and nylon were used inside the canopy instead of fire-resisting components. And then some of the human causes were procedural oversight, lack of adequate safety protocols for testing in the oxygen-rich environments, and then NASA faced immense pressures to meet ambitious timelines for the Apollo program, which was probably a contribution to the insignificant testing and risk assessments that happened with this disaster. So there are a few different policy changes that happened because of this failure. The first is environmental modifications. They used a mixture of different gases inside the atmosphere so that it wasn't just pure oxygen in there. The second is material selection. They changed the cabin to only have fire-resistant materials. They did a hatch redesign, so they implemented a quick-release outward opening hatch to make escape easier. And then they introduced comprehensive fire safety training under simulated conditions before actually going and testing the object. And then from a Christian ethical perspective, the tragedy underscores the moral obligation to prioritize human life over other external factors such as getting a project done on time. So one of the legal ramifications that happened because of this was increased oversight over NASA by Congress and other regulatory bodies. Some of the social implications of this were greater public demand for transparency and safety within space exploration. And then this also caused NASA to start prioritizing safety and rigorous training over production time. And then lastly, the failure category that I think the Apollo 1 fire falls into best is negligence. The use of highly flammable materials within the spacecraft and then the pure oxygen-rich environments during the ground testing reflects a failure to adhere to rigorous safety standards. Additionally, the inward opening hatch design, which impeded the escape during emergencies, demonstrated carelessness in adhering to the astronaut safety during the design phase. And then here are my sources that I used for creating this presentation.